Welcome to the Federal Financial Reporting Made Easy Step-by-Step Guide Learning Series, presented by the Office of Conservation Investment Training Team. Prior to viewing this video, please watch our tutorial on completing the SF425. In this video, we'll demonstrate how a recipient of a U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Financial Assistance Award can accurately complete the transaction section, specifically fields 10D through 10O of their final federal financial report. Before we jump into our scenario, let us first introduce the 5-step process we will be using to determine the information needed to complete the SF425. The amounts used are based upon the amounts listed in the Notice of Award and the actual expenditures upon completion of the award period of performance. Step 1. The recipient adds the value of any applicable third-party in-kind contributions to the total amount of direct and indirect costs charged to the award. Step 2. The recipient removes any overmatch from the adjusted outlays calculated in Step 1. The term overmatch refers in general to those costs that exceed the federal award amount but were still necessary and reasonable for completion of the award objectives and activities. Step 3. The recipient takes the adjusted outlays from Step 2 and subtracts the total program income earned during the award period of performance. Important in this step is that the program income is subtracted only when there is a federal component. Any program income earned using the cost share method is not subtracted in this step. Step 4. The recipient calculates the federal share of expenditures as well as any applicable recipient cost share amounts by multiplying the adjusted outlays from Step 3 by the federal and cost share percentages of the award. And Step 5. The recipient calculates the share of their expenditures by adding the overmatch amount from Step 2 plus the recipient share of any deductive and additive program income to the recipient share amount determined from Step 4. This video scenario is suited for a recipient who receives a service award that includes a mandatory recipient cost-sharing requirement, no third-party in-kind contributions, and program income earned during the award period of performance. Let's get started. In this scenario, a recipient receives a federal award with a mandatory cost share requirement of 25%. The total award amount is $400,000. The federal share of the award is $300,000, or 75% of the total project cost. The recipient provides the remaining $100,000, or 25% of the total project cost. In this scenario, the recipient has anticipated that they will earn $50,000 in program income during the award and has been approved to handle the program income using the cost-sharing method. This means that the program income earned will be used to replace a portion of the recipient cost share required to complete the scope of work. Upon completion of the project, the recipient has charged a total of $400,000 in direct and indirect project-related costs to the award. There were no third-party in-kind contributions applied to the award. Additionally, $50,000 in program income was earned during the period of performance. The recipient was approved to apply the program income earned as cost share on the award. Next, let's walk through how the recipient calculates the values to enter on their award final federal financial report. The first step is for the recipient to add the value of any applicable third-party in-kind contributions to the total amount of direct and indirect costs charged to the award. Since there were no third-party in-kind contributions, the adjusted outlays are $400,000. In Step 2, the recipient removes any overmatch from the adjusted outlays. In this scenario, overmatch would include those costs charged to the award in excess of the approved amount of $400,000. In this case, the recipient did not incur any additional costs, so the adjusted outlays remain $400,000. In Step 3, the recipient takes the adjusted outlays from Step 2 and subtracts the total amount of program income that was earned during the award period of performance. Recall that the total program income is only removed in this step when there is a federal component. In this scenario, all program income earned is handled using the cost-sharing method. Therefore, no program income is subtracted in this step, keeping the adjusted outlays at $400,000. In Step 4, the recipient calculates the federal share of expenditures by multiplying the adjusted outlays by the award federal and cost share percentages. The federal share of the award is 75%, and the recipient has a mandatory 25% cost sharing requirement. To determine the federal share of expenditures, the recipient multiplies the adjusted outlays from Step 3 by 0.75. The resulting federal share of expenditures is $300,000. The required cost share is determined by multiplying the same adjusted outlays from Step 3 by 0.25 to get $100,000. Finally, in Step 5, the recipient calculates their share of expenditures by adding the overmatch amount from Step 2 plus the recipient share of any additive or deductive program income to the $100,000 required cost share amount determined from Step 4. Because there was no overmatch or recipient share of deductive or additive program income, this results in a total recipient share of $100,000. From these 5 steps, the recipient has the data they need to accurately complete fields 10D through 10O of their final federal financial report. Fields 10D through 10H provide information about the expenditure of federal funds and any remaining unspent balance of federal funds as of the reporting period end date. For 10D, the recipient identifies the total federal funds authorized. This amount is $300,000 and comes directly from Field 11M Federal Share on the Grant Solutions Notice of Award. Field 10E represents the federal share of expenditures. This amount is $300,000 and comes from Step 4, where the recipient calculated the federal share of award expenditures. Field 10F represents the federal share amount of any recipient unspent obligations. Since this is a final federal financial report and our scenario states that the award is completed, this amount is 0. In Field 10G, the recipient adds the values in both 10E and 10F to get $300,000. Lastly, in Field 10H, the recipient reports any unspent federal funds remaining at the end of the federal award. This value is determined by subtracting the value in 10G from the value in 10D. In this scenario, the recipient expended all the federal funds, so this amount is 0. Fields 10I through 10K provide information about the recipient share of expenditures and any remaining recipient share to be provided as of the reporting period end date. For 10I, the recipient identifies the total recipient share required. This amount is $100,000 and comes from Field 11N on the Grant Solutions Notice of Award. Field 10J represents the recipient share of the expenditures. This amount is $100,000 and comes from Step 5, where the recipient added the overmatch and recipient share of program income earned to the recipient share amount calculated in Step 4. Note that in this scenario, $50,000 of the required $100,000 recipient cost share has been replaced by the program income that was earned during the period of performance and handled using the cost share method. Effectively, this reduces the amount of their own funds that the recipient is required to contribute to the award. Field 10K represents the remaining recipient share to be provided. This amount is determined by subtracting the value in 10J from the value in 10I. The remaining recipient share is 0. Fields 10L through 10O provide information about the federal share of program income earned under the award as of the reporting period end date. Because the program income earned was handled using the cost-sharing method, there was not a federal component to the program income. As a result, fields 10L through 10O are all 0. We hope this example video was helpful in your completion of the SF425. For additional SF425 examples, please see the other videos in this series.